Hey guys, so I'm starting a new class today in my doctorate journey, my journey to becoming Dr. Rosie. And it's actually my last class before I start my dissertation, which is a huge milestone. It's a huge accomplishment, not just like academically, obviously it's academically, but just like personally, internally, this has been a marathon. It is a marathon to go to school. It's a marathon to get a degree. This is probably the hardest thing I have ever done. One, because it's really hard. And then two, because I am not a long range person. Like, I am not a marathon runner. If you ask me to run, one, I'm going to tell you I hate running, but two, I'm going to say, can I just sprint? I've always actually been a sprinter. Like, if I ever had to do drills or anything like that, I would sprint. When I used to train in boxing, I actually would sprint my miles, and then I would like sprint and walk and sprint and walk because I just hate running. But I'm just not a long distance kind of person. I like to just jump in, do something, do it quick, get it done, move on. So the journey to becoming to getting a doctorate is a long one. One filled with many ups and downs. You know, if you've ever seen the meme or the picture that says my plan and it's a straight path, and then God's plan and it's, you know, climbing mountains in circles, that's the doctorate journey. And it has just been, it's been a marathon. And as I'm starting my last class before my dissertation, which again, huge milestone, I feel like I'm at the like getting near to the finish line. So I feel this sense of accomplishment because I know I'm nearing the end, and it feels like I almost feel this sense of I did it and I'm finished. I feel like once I get to the dissertation, like everything's just gonna be so quick and easy. I know dissertations are not quick and easy, but I've spent the last 3 years preparing for my dissertation. I've spent the last 3 years building. Every paper that I wrote was a preparation and an exercise to get to my dissertation. The last class that I completed, I actually did my entire course. Every single paper was a building block for my dissertation. And it wasn't, you know, in a doctorate, you have like a mini dissertation. That it wasn't that. I just intentionally in that class said, okay, I'm getting close to my dissertation. So every paper I wrote was on the topic of my dissertation. And so I already have like so much content from not just the last 3 years, but my master's degree was also in leadership, which is what I'm studying. So all this to say, I'm so prepared. I have so much content, so much research, so much analysis, so much synthesis that I feel like once I get to the dissertation, it's just, I'm going to be sprinting at that point. So it's very exciting. But all of this, it has been a race of endurance. It's been a pacing race. It's required me to adjust and to pivot along the way because, you know, I couldn't go at that fast pace that I initially wanted to. I wanted to just storm the gates and come out running and just get it done fast. And I quickly learned I couldn't do that. I physically couldn't actually manage working full time and going to school, taking multiple classes, and then, you know, life, and I had some health things. So I had to intentionally pace myself. Sometimes I took just one class at a time. Sometimes I took 0 classes and I took like an entire semester off. Sometimes I took 3 classes and was just, you know, like having a little moment of insanity and saying, let me do 3 classes at once. I actually did that twice, but both times I did it with classes that I enjoyed and I knew historically to be lighter classes. So I wasn't being crazy. I was being smart and strategic. So I just had to intentionally like pivot, adjust, learn, figure out, you know, how to make this work for the season I'm in, because over the span of 3 years, I'm in so many different seasons, right? Like it's not all one continuous season. So I've had to continuously pivot and adjust. And this is really important because I think, like, if we don't do this, then it's really easy, just in life, it's really easy to think we need to be doing things in a certain way, or acting a certain way, being a certain way, think we need to do things the way we did it last year or 10 years ago. But life changes, seasons change, we change. So it's important to constantly like assess and pivot and adjust and readjust where we need to be and what we need to be doing. I just realized I'm wearing a headband. I never wear headbands, but I don't know, it looks kind of cute. I think I put it on because sometimes my hair just gets all over the place. So I put it on to get my hair out of my face when I was doing my homework. And I just realized I didn't take it off, but it looks kind of cute. So anyway, yeah, I think with all things, it's really important that we are learning how to pivot, learning how to adjust, learning to assess and evaluate our season for what it is, not what we want it to be or not what we think it should be, because every season is different and every season is going to require a different output from us. And sometimes it's going to require a different input. So there were 2 semesters that I just completely took off. I actually took off an entire 6 months. I took off a summer and a fall, I think it was. So it was about 6 months that I took off when I started a new job. I just knew I'm starting a new job. I'm going to have to learn a lot during that time. And I was transitioning and shifting from being mostly remote to working kind of like 60% in office. I knew that was going to take a lot out of me. So I just decided just to take the entire time off, and it was amazing to have that break. I was able to do a lot of writing, just my creative writing, my creative brain turned back on during that time. And then I just figured out how to adjust, in that new season so that when I went back to school, took classes again, I knew what I could handle. So it's just been a lot of that, right? Constantly adjusting, pivoting, figuring out like, what do I need in this season? What does this season look like? And how do I tailor my workload for the season that I'm in? So again, I just share that because it's important for us to have grace for ourselves and to constantly ask ourselves, like, what do I need? And not put so much pressure on ourselves that we feel like we need to constantly be, hustling and grinding and working harder. Sometimes things are a marathon, and it's okay to go a slower pace. Also, what I've been realizing lately, which is a really cool thing, and I'm just going to ramble here. I'm just going to talk about school and what I'm learning, and hope that you enjoy the journey with me. Something I've been realizing lately, which I think is really, really cool. So for the first year or 2 that I was in my doctorate program, friends, family, people would say, oh my gosh, you're getting a doctorate, like you're going to be a doctor, how awesome. And like they would be encouraging me and telling me how amazing it was. And it felt very uncomfortable. I felt like an imposter. And imposter syndrome is real. I felt like an imposter. I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be a doctor. Like that's so weird. It just felt very odd and it felt very strange. But over the last, I'd say about 6 months, I feel like, oh wow, like I'm there. Like I'm going to be a doctorate. Like I'm going to have my doctorate. I'm going to have that credential. I'm going to have that education. I'm going to have that authority, which is amazing and so exciting. But I feel it. I no longer feel like an imposter. And here's why. It takes our brain like a year, like give or take, let's say 9 months, a year, somewhere around that, to catch up to where we are in life. So if let's say you just, learned some new skill, or you went to school, got a degree, or you got a new job and started doing a new job. It takes your brain about a year to catch up and feel, like confident and competent in what you're doing. You could be doing it, you could be competent, you could be skilled in it, but it just takes your brain some time to catch up. So this is why we actually struggle with imposter syndrome, because it just takes our brain some time to catch up to where we're at. So because I've been going at this longer journey, this longer pace, my brain has had time to catch up to where I'm at. So I don't feel like an imposter anymore. I feel like, oh, I'm there. Like, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready to be called Dr. Rosie. And I say that with fun, but like, I feel like I'm there. Like, I put in the time, I put in the work, I put in the energy. I've done so much research, so much research. It's crazy. And like, I'm there. So that's a really neat thing, is that sometimes when we do give ourselves the gift of time and the gift of space, it can be really good for our nervous system. It can be really good for our brain. And it can actually help to defeat some of the lies and struggles and challenges that we face when we go through things too quickly. So I don't know, I just thought that was like a really cool thing, that I like. It just feels like a gift that I have, that I went at a slower pace and now I get to enjoy the benefits of that as well. So yeah, that is a little bit about my doctorate journey. There's so much more, so much in that. The class that I'm doing right now is organizational ethics. It has not been a class that I'm looking forward to, but I'm reading the material and I actually am loving it. I wasn't looking forward to it because there's a lot of coursework and a lot of busy work in the coursework, so I really was kind of dreading it, but I'm really excited actually now that I'm reading the material. It's all about, it's ethics, but what's underneath ethics is character development, morals and character development. And you need to have your, character development, morals, integrity, values, and that inner development before you could ever have ethics. A lot of moral failures happen because there's no character and identity development. And I just love everything about character development. I love everything about inner development, self-leadership, learning to lead ourselves, learning to be not the best we can be, but learning how to be just like really good people. Like really just like learning to be more like Christ is the heart of it and is the simple way of saying it. But I really just love learning everything about our like character development. I think titles will fade, and status and accomplishments and all of that will fade. Your character will last beyond your lifetime. And when we're gone, people will remember us. They're not going to remember what we did or any of that. They're going to remember who we were, like what our character was, and how we made them feel and how we treated them. That's, I think, just that's what I want. Like, I want to be remembered for who I was and how I showed up and how I treated people and like the value that I brought, not necessarily, what I, like accomplished or anything like that. Like, that's all great and wonderful. But when I look at anything that I have accomplished, I know that I accomplished it. I know I've accomplished it because of like who I, like my character. I'm able to sustain a doctorate degree and like the work that it takes to get my doctorate because of who I am and the character that I have, not because of anything else. Honestly, like, it's not because I'm like super smart or anything like that. It's because I have shown up with endurance and patience and perseverance, and I've poured into the work over and over, and I just continue to show up. And I decided that that is who I wanted to be, that I wanted to be someone who showed up, and I wanted to be somebody who like put in the work and who did that, so for me, it all comes back to character. It all comes back to like who we are, who God made us to be, yes, but I think that's only part of the equation. I think God has made us to be fearfully and wonderfully made. He's made us to be an image bearer of him, but we have to develop that and we have to steward that. And I feel like we miss that a lot. I feel like we talk a lot about who God has made us to be, and I do all the time. I always talk about who God's made us to be. But I feel like we talk about that a lot, but we fail to talk about the part where we get to steward that and we get to cultivate that. It's not just like He made us, here you go, live happily ever after. We have to constantly cultivate and steward like who He's made us to be, and our gifts and our talents and our time and our treasures and our resources, but also in our character development, because all of that, like gifts, time, treasure, talents, like it really will mean nothing if you don't have the character to sustain it. And we can see that time and time again in moral failures, business failures, organizational failures. Look at any massive, like kind of company loss, and usually there's some kind of character or moral failure underneath that. So that's actually what I'm writing about in my paper that I am working on right now. So you got a little taste of that. So that's it. Just wanted to share a little bit about my journey in my doctorate program, and just what it's been and how it's been. Again, nearing the end. I believe I should be finished by this time next year, if all goes according to my plan. And if I don't take any more breaks, then I should be completed by this time next year. So hey, like if you are interested in education, in leadership, in character development, in just listening to what it takes to go back to school or anything like that, follow me. It's not all that I talk about. I'm going to talk about other stuff as well, but for the next year I'm probably going to talk a lot about it. So thanks for listening in.